All right, the necessity of Mega Man X6. I heard some of you praising this game already. Not really. Yeah. It is my goal with this to maybe help you see this game in a slightly different light and why it's actually better than X5. If I fail, that's okay. My goal is to try. So anyways, this screen is not a joke. It's actually one of Dynamo's lines in the game. I did not know this existed until I was recording footage for this panel. So, I'm Stephen Flask. I'm an adjunct instructor at Kent State University and also an assistant lecturer at the University of Akron. If you don't know anything about those two schools, they do not like each other when it comes to sports. When it comes to everything else, they get along. I teach those college composition classes that everyone gets to take. And I enjoy teaching them because I get every major. I also, over the summer, teach for the University of Akron's Upward Bound program as well for several weeks and get to do a lot of cool things with those students. I'm staff here at MAGFest. This is my 13th Super, my 16th event overall because I went to 8.5 Classic and MagLab 17. My 6th panel I've given. Last year's panel was interesting. It was going to be talking about Knuckles Chaotix, and it turned to let's just play Knuckles Chaotix for an hour and see how far we can get. The audience played Knuckles Chaotix, I should say. I just watched. 2 players, so I first played X6 in 2007. I didn't have any information with me about it, about what to do, so I got through the intro stage and then chose Metal Shark Player as my first Maverick. Bad choice. I didn't touch it again for several years. I either beat it in 2011 or 2012. I can't find the document that lists when I actually beat it, so it's in there somewhere. How many of you have played Mega Man X6? All right, how many of you have beaten it? How many of you got all 128 Reploids? Okay. Yeah. How many of you did it in extreme mode? Yeah. I haven't tried that yet. It's hell, don't do it. That's what I'm hearing from everyone, so I should try it at some point, so I'm definitely hearing then. Yeah. So tolerances, as he said, you can surpass them, and I'll be honest, in my opinion, if you can beat the first Mega Man game and Mega Man 8, you can probably beat X6. Because those two are also pretty stupidly difficult at times. I know maybe that sounds weird for Mega Man 8, but if you've actually tried to beat it, it's not the... No. Yeah. Jump, slide, yeah. We'll look at Mega Man 8 here in a bit, and some other ones for reasons. So, Mega Man X6, released November 29th, 2001 in Japan, December 11th, 2001 here in North America, and then February 8th, 2002, the European Union, according to Wikipedia. That's where I get the information from. You can usually verify these things off Wikipedia if you go down to the bottom and check the sources, as I tell my students. So yeah, Wikipedia is valid if the sources are there. Reviews, not so great for the game. As I heard someone talking over here earlier, Inafune was not involved with this. The main reason supposedly Capcom made X6 was probably for money. It was money. But I think there's some other reasons to it too, which we'll get into, that maybe Inafune would or would have not have liked. Speaking of Inafune, he was here years ago at MAGFest, a long time ago, promoting Mighty Number 9. But hey, there was a concert with that game's music, and it was actually really good. I don't remember if it was in 2013 or 2014. It was one of those 2 years, but it was really neat, actually. So you get a chance to find that on YouTube, give it a shot. So we know that there were people involved in X5 that were involved in X6. A lot of the character design and things like that, there was some changeover. Obviously, you can just look at the credit sequences between the 2 games. That will tell you. But X6 is a bit different because it wasn't supposed to be. But yet we got it like we usually get, It's hard to end a series. Even when you end it, you want more, right? Yeah. I'm sure we can all think of various franchises that have done that. So, why do we need Mega Man X6? I mean, we can survive without, but why is it necessary to have it in the series? I don't think X5 did its job ending the series very well. My opinion, but the storyline presentation took a big step in X5 back from where it had been in X4. The difficulty in pacing of X6 is problematic, but the difficulty in pacing of X5 was also all over the place, and the pacing was horrendous in X5. The usage of disk space was questionable, and I will show you a chart later on showing how X5 uses its disk space compared to X4 and X6. X5 also goes to the well too often, doing something that was done in X1. And X6 essentially takes some of the best from X4 and X5 and its own little problems too. I mean, is it a perfect game? No. So in some ways, X6 could be X5.5, which would then make Mega Man X6, X7, X6, which is a completely different story. So we won't go there. So the first thing we want to talk about here is the storyline presentation in Mega Man games. So Mega Man 1 and 2, you had nothing. Now this is just going by playing the game. Instruction manuals, I know they exist. I don't have all of them, and I didn't look at scans. But here's the thing. Mega Man 1, you get nothing until the ending, and then you get some text. Mega Man 2, you get some text, and that's it at the in the opening. Mega Man 3 is the first one that essentially goes, hey, let's put some text in the middle of the game. Or actually closer to the 2/3 point of the game at that point. 3/4, however you want to slice it. So then that stays that way through essentially the rest of the mainline Mega Man games. In Mega Man 7, Mega Man himself gets some dialogue too, actually starts talking, gets some text on the screen. Come Mega Man 8, we have animated cutscenes with voices and some text, and these are products of their time. Like almost any game made in that era from the late 90s is going to do that. Extreme 1 and 2, because of technological, limitations being Game Boy Color, it's just text on the screen. Slow scrolling text, and we're going to actually some video examples of these, what these games are doing. Chronologically in order of release, not necessarily of when they take place, but I'll address some of that. X5 all of a sudden goes, you know what, we're just going to have text. Lots and lots of text. Like, we just looked at an RPG script and decided we're going to make it that long. Now, apparently, the Japanese version has some slight voices for some of the characters at some points, like Dynamo and stuff, but nothing to the extent X4 would have, where all the bosses make their own sound stuff. X5 is a very quiet game in some ways. And then X6, it's like, we're going to put text on certain screens, essentially, or not text on certain screens, voices with some of the text, and we'll look at that some, but in later versions, those are removed, and maybe because of this rushed product development, or maybe because they don't want to repeat what they did with X4 and 8, all the voices in X6 are in Japanese, even if you're playing, even this North American copy here, they're all Japanese. So, and this is the original US PS1 release version here, so, yes. So yeah, let's look at some videos here. If it'll process over. Did I need to have them tied into the PowerPoint because they're on a separate thing? I'm not seeing them over here. Yeah. I had them open up in VLC. Okay. It's weird. Okay. It's just something I didn't expect to happen. I got here early to test everything except for this. Well, okay, that's the PowerPoint, but the problem is we need, not the PowerPoint, we need VLC. You know what? I might, hold on. You think you test everything, and then the one thing comes up that you didn't test, and that's more like it. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what I did there. Okay, so I'm not going to some of these I might fast forward through slightly, so let's look at how the storyline's presented to give you an actual better idea about why X6 is doing this better than X5. So it starts, and okay, now the sound's not working again. I know what's happened here probably, because it was working earlier. No. Still not working. There we go. Okay. So Mega Man 3, the first to give us actual dialogue in game. So you fight Breakman / fake Proto Man, and hey, it's Dr. Light. Right after he received the last element, Wily ran off with Gamma. Incidentally, if you haven't read the manual, you probably have no idea who or what Gamma is. So we go into Mega Man X now. It's the 1990s. It's 92, 93, around there. We're going to go from having just this like simple cutscene situation to being actual dialogue between characters that progresses through the game. Here's Val, about to trash X at the beginning of the game, the unwinnable battle, and lo and behold, Zero to save the day. The first and last time his Buster's probably going to be that effective. Okay, second to last time. So now we get we get dialogue between the characters, including your main character throughout the game. Now again, this is the first time your main character, your protagonist, is speaking, because Mega Man 7 is going to come out later. So, X2, a lot of the same. The difference now is we're going to have cutscenes that don't involve your character. So we're kind of stepping it up here. We're taking it from just when your character's on the screen to having stuff go on when they're not present. I mean, technically he's on the screen, but he's not in the room. This is the Japanese version because I didn't feel like buying the Super NES card, so I just bought the Japanese one and used that instead. I recorded all this footage you're going to see, by the way. I have like 71 hours of Mega Man footage that I cut down to about 40-some minutes, and I'm not even use all that. So, X3 comes out 95-ish, around there, 94, late 95. A lot of the same, nothing really too big from X4, X2. The big difference here is there's two different endings. You can have Doppler save you, you can have Zero save you if you kept Zero alive. Here's the Doppler ending, so we have a situation here now where we have different endings going on, which is important for the series. And it's going to make things really confusing come X6. Because X5 is going to have 3 endings. Okay, X3. So this is the PC/PS1 version. What we're going to add now is animated cutscenes. But these animated cutscenes are going to do nothing to add to the game. Outside from looking nice, this is the introduction cutscene. It's kind of showing what's happened in the first 2 previous games in some weird amalgamation. X has jumped through the volcano like you'd have from Flamestag and X2, and all of a sudden he's in front of Sigma's headquarters, but here's the X-Hunters from X2, and here's Val from X1. So yeah, it's like everything just thrown together at once. And again, this is cool and nice, but it's not really advancing the story any. But yeah, Zero. So, also we get animated cutscenes introducing each Maverick in X3. Again, not advancing the story, but they look cool. Yeah, this is the best one. Also, if you know anything about Capcom, you know they could use some help with their translations and proofreading. Hence, Bilzard Buffalo. Also, random cutscene just to show you Dr. Doppler and that he's got Sigma with him. Which I'd say would be a borderline spoiler, but he mentions Sigma being his master in this text scene right after, so, right here. So, it's not, but it's like, it's cool, but is it necessary? No, but it is, it's taking us in the direction the series is gonna go. No. Mega Man 8 comes out. There's no Mega Man X games for a while. So, Mega Man's got a voice now. Everyone gets a voice. You get a voice. You get a voice. You get a voice. Everyone gets a voice.
Mega Man, today we finish this.
Hey, Zach, why must I fight you? We are not enemies.
Shut up.
Now, if you were used to the Mega Man cartoon here in the States, this might have seemed more normal, but
don't run away, coward. You'll pay for this insult. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Dr. Light, what is the problem?
A strange meteor has fallen to Earth just a while ago. This meteor seems to be emitting a powerful energy signature. Something this powerful must not fall into the hands of evil.
I understand, Dr. Light. I'm on it.
Okay, X4. We're keeping the cutscenes. We're keeping the voices. The voices actually are better, so this is a case, for the most part, in my opinion, so this is a case where the dub actually works out.
They are far too eager to please the humans and continue to hunt down the Reploids. Do you believe they pose a significant threat?
Perhaps.
You already know the truth, General. Their sole mission has been to destroy any Reploids who fail to do as the humans order. It's in your best interest to stop them now, before they turn on you.
Brave soldiers of Replifors, we have all been wrongfully judged as mavericks by the humans. We cannot suffer this indignity and live in disgrace. We will build our own nation of Reploids. But remember, this is neither about insurrection nor rebellion against our human creators. This is about our liberty
Again,
and security.
we're advancing story.
We must battle for
And to
our
be honest,
own
this could be
individual
done
rights
better because
and
this
our
game does
own
not
survival.
make a lot of... Most of these games don't make sense to story level. Also, bosses now have dialogue with you too. Not just like, I'm Aquaman, but they're actually going to chat with you. So again, another advance in storyline and way we're presenting our story. Also, X's voice still probably...
This is Maverick Hunter Headquarters.
Zero.
It's good to see you're safe, X. I was really worried about you.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry. It's all over. Go home and rest. You've
And
earned it.
unlike
But
previous
Zero.
games now, Zero's gonna get his own story too.
Who are you?
My masterpiece.
But who are you?
After him, he is my nemesis. Our rivalry is what gives me motivation in life.
Mega Man Extreme comes out between X4 and X5. We get text dialogue, and that's it. Yeah. It's serviceable, but has anyone played the Extreme games? Yeah, they're interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about Iris here in a bit. So X5. So we should have cutscenes and all these voices and everything because that's the way things progress, right? Like, great 3D models, stuff looks like Final Fantasy VII now, right? All this great animation and stuff. No. So you choose your player, and by the way, I checked the Japanese version, it's the same situation, just a really quiet game. I hope you like text, and I hope you like that sound. You can speed this up. I didn't speed it up. Oh yeah, there's no way to skip this. Also though, we've gone to comic book style cutscenes as well, kind of like Phantasy Star 4, so that is actually kind of cool how you have these different panels that pop up. So that is actually an improvement in some ways. Also, don't really know much about who Cygnus is and stuff because they just kind of introduce him to the game. He's fine and everything, but we'll talk about Aaliyah here in a bit. Extreme 2 takes place before X4, even though it took place afterwards. Yeah, it has to take place before, because I'll tell you why later. But yeah, because either that or they brought Iris back. But yeah, so yeah. So here is where the Reploid Research Laboratory is located. Here's Iris. She's your navigator. Unlike Aaliyah, she's not going to stop you in the middle of an action to tell you what to do. Incidentally, Extreme 2, X5, X6 is where Capcom really starts dropping the ball on their translations, and maybe again it's things being rushed, but X6, what we really want to talk about. Still text, but there's some voices to go with it.
失敗したのと同じ。滅亡を免れただけ良かったとでも言うのか。
Okay, we'll come to this in a bit. Yeah, ready? There's your voice in the game, ready. Okay, so, then, now it's showing the present. Let me, sorry, I don't really need the presenter. Never mind, I guess I got myself so mixed up here. Sorry about that. I know what happened, maybe, so. Slideshow, back to that. Let me put it back where I had it first. Current slide. All right, there we go. Okay, so, perfect. So difficulty and pacing. Mega Man X5, how many of you have played X5? All right, I know the game has a training mode, but X5 assumes you have never played a game in the series. X5 also assumes in some ways that you may never have played a video game in your life. Anyone else get that feeling while playing it? Especially, who has played X5 more than once? Yeah, it gets really annoying, doesn't it? We complain about, overdone tutorials and, things like that today, but, X5 is really bad at it. So it assumes you haven't played and you haven't read the instruction manual. Navigation is unavoidable. You have to have help, even if you know what you're doing. Your character cannot do a thing without being told. X6 assumes you know what you're doing. There's some pretty crazy jumps you have to do in X6. They already have, hanging off the walls over pits and stuff. X6 assumes you've played the X5 and you know what you're doing. Navigation's optional. You hear a beep, you can hit select or whatever would be on the controller, then you get your information. There's only 1 or 2 spots where you're stopped to get information, and those actually kind of make sense in the way of the story and things like that. It's not X5 where it's everywhere, and I'll show you in X5 how it's in some really dumb places. X5, your character is passive, a passive listener. They get a lot of information, they don't say a thing. X6, you're having conversations with your navigator, with Aaliyah. So that actually makes it a lot better, with them being optional, but even with them being optional, the conversation makes it better. It doesn't just feel like she's talking to you, the gamer, saying, hey, this is what you need to do. It's like actual say, hey, here's what's going on. What do you see? What do you not see? Things like that. It makes a lot more sense. Aaliyah kills the pacing in X5. She just does. X6, she helps it, and when she talks, it actually enhances the story. It makes more things better. I mean, she is actually important to the story in a lot of ways. X6, there's several different ways you can get to the end of the game, and she has a lot of backstory in this game. And her end-level dialogue, I heard some of you discussing this earlier too, in both X5 and especially X6 does give her depth. It's hard to see in X5 because at this point you just probably want to rush through everything because you've spent so much time having to go through her text, but some of it is there. Did I miss anything in the last slide? No. Okay. So let's look at how Aaliyah here works with you, and I could be saying her name incorrectly. In Aaliyah. Okay. Hey. Did my display do that thing again? Maybe. I don't know why this is not liking to switch things around so easily. Yeah, it keeps trying to duplicate itself for some reason. I think because the thing is on multiple displays. I just want to keep, well, fine. I still have to keep moving it, I guess. That's all there is to it. Yeah, so I'm just going to have to keep messing with my display off and on. That's all there is to it. I need to save that. Definitely. Anyone else have too many things up and you just click on the first thing that comes across your peripheral vision? Okay, so yeah. Sorry. So anyway, so let's look at Alien X5 and X6. We'll see how she's working here and stuff. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this because this is like 10 minutes of the first level to show you the pacing. Again, I could have gone through this a bit faster, but I want to keep the dialogue up for people that haven't seen it before. which made this game take like way longer than it should have. So yeah, as again, I won't show the whole 8 minutes here, but we'll see how far we can get before she talks to us again. So Sigma's shown up. It's the beginning of the game. He's shown up at the beginning instead of the end. Stuff's going crazy. Lost contact with Zero. Where'd he go? We'll find. He'll show up. He'll pop up. You need to go to a statue because apparently that's where Sigma's last being read at. Statue's under construction. Yeah. Several machines have gone deserted taxi. So this is the first time where they've kind of mentioned what are essentially like lower level Reploids. I think they're called Mechanoids in X6 that also essentially can have some problems. So yeah. You get your armor from X4 if you start as X. Yeah. I have a playthrough with with both of them. Yeah, I don't know why I'm taking my time here, but yeah. Got pretty far without instruction, didn't I? Yeah. Highway's damaged. Wow. How can you tell? Okay, so let's move it back forward. Okay. Seriously damaged, so yeah, essentially this is going to tell you might want to duck. Can you see a red rope ahead of you? No. I can't either. Ah, there it is. That is a new mechanic there, but if you did the training, I think it would have been there. You've reached a statue in case you can't tell. It's right in front of you. So we get this nice long dialogue here about how you can't actually read Sigma because he's a virus. We get through the fight. So Ellie's gonna give you instruction mid-level. This truck has already begun to explode. Hurry and move to the next one. She'll also taught you at the beginning of levels too. At first glance, it may seem to be an ordinary planetarium. By the way, if you go to places you don't need to, she's like, I don't know why you're here. You don't need to be here, but maybe you can find something. Especially if, okay, how many of you actually let the Eurasia crash while playing this game? Or ended up having it crash by accident? Yeah. You don't have to go to any of these levels afterwards. I intentionally, on one of my playthroughs, made it crash immediately. So I lost Zero immediately to see, because just for the different dialogue. Yeah, so Sigma Virus is here. At the end of the game, she spent all this time telling you what to do, and at the end she's like, Sigma's behind all this, okay? We knew that. They didn't. It's a suspense thing. I won't stop you from going to fight. Yeah, she's not going to give you instruction anymore. You're on your own. Yay. Yeah. X6. Now again, a lot of this is skippable. This part isn't, but most of the mechanoids became Maverick. So the Eurasia did not crash, but its debris totally still hit the planet. So you succeeded in X5, but you failed. Now this is a lot better. We have this back and forth discussion here with Alia. It's not just her going, this area is damaged, be careful. Yeah. Also, X is like, yeah, I have Zero sword, I'm fine. I can do whatever I need to do. I'll stop the mechanoids, because stuff's gone weird. So yeah. Now again, this is a new mechanic, so they're letting you know, hey, you might want to use the sword here. Also, you have your Falcon armor from X5, except the flight mechanic doesn't work. It does break the game, and she tells you She tells you it didn't work. So she repaired it for you. Apparently, got damaged in X5, or between X5 and X6, in the 3 weeks that take place between them. Who knows? So anyways, we keep going through here. Yeah, I mentioned, first level of the game, you're doing stuff like this. This game expects you to know how to play. Anyways, you get through a simple boss. Zero, who's been missing at this point, even though he's supposed to be dead, he's missing, has shown up and destroyed the thing. Here's Hymax. Who here enjoys fighting Hymax? This is like Val, you can't win the fight. So anyways, you get through this. And all this to get, so again, you can beat X6 without finding Zero. But Zero is really meant to be used in this game a lot. And again, you're getting instruction at the beginning of the levels as before, but again, it's back and forth discussion, it's dialogue, it makes sense, and it helps the flow. And again, this is even optional discussion here, so. And again, Aelia can't see a thing that's going on in this game, unlike X5 where she can see everything, so your characters are actually helping her figure out what's going on too, because the Nightmare virus is kind of just got everything. Okay, so I mentioned her death. Here's her talking about Blizzard Wolffang. He was an ex-leader investigator of the North Pole area. One day his team members were attacked by Mavericks. Although Wolffang was able to defeat the Mavericks, his team members were annihilated. Researchers who opposed Gate schemed to dispose of Wolffang. Gate's essentially responsible for a lot of what's going on in this game, and took advantage of the incident. They made it look like an accident. Wolffang was thrown into the cold sea. I did it, but I was deceived. So it is like, yeah, I've done some awful things in this game. Okay, we'll talk about Zero Death later here. Yeah, Zero Death, favorite part, yeah. So, which one do I want here? I think I just have one up, don't I? Yeah, it's fine. So, current slide. Okay, so. So difficulty and pacing. X5's a decently easy game. Decently easy. Once you figure out the order to do things, the time limit's inconsequential. It doesn't really matter, does it? No, you're stopping the thing. You're stopping the Eurasian from crashing. X6 is a challenge. Again, if you've beaten Mega Man 1 and 8, you can probably beat X6. Maybe the Game Boy games too. While usually seen as a negative, they consider X6's level design questionable. You could think of it as it reflects the devastated and nightmarish world X and Zero find themselves in, because the world has been decimated in a lot of ways by the Eurasia doesn't crash, but it does mess up the world still, the debris and things like that. So it crashes just in pieces instead of one massive unit, essentially. And again, that was not intended from X5, but it was used for X6 to do that. So maybe you can think of the level design making sense that way. Or maybe because it's just, rush development. All right, so I mentioned the usage of the disk space. This is the PlayStation. This is all using PS1 disks. Mega Man 8, okay, the disk size itself is 347 megabytes. The audio takes up 9.48 megabytes. There are a bunch of small files, essentially. They repeat, they loop. The video takes up 245 megabytes. Now, this is going by what I could find, generally looking through the disks. X4, disk size 491 megabytes, audio 187. These files do not loop incessantly. They do what a lot of disk-based games did from that time in the 90s, where they have a beginning point and a cut and a point where they just end. Like the songs are actually meant to have an ending, and then the song just starts over again. X5 and 6 won't do that. They'll be very long loops. Video 266 megabytes because we need intros for X and Zero. We need endings for X and Zero. Each have their own special. Zero has another extra special, has at least one extra cutscene as well. So the video is going to take up a lot more space there, the animated video. X5, 484 megabytes. It's a smaller disk than X4, though X5 is built off the X4 engine. Anyone gone to the cutting room floor, the website? Yeah, you can find portions of X4 in the X5 disk, and you can find portions of X5 in the X6 disk. So they just kept the same engine and kept building on it, which is probably a common thing to do. So anyways, so audio staying at 435 megabytes. That's a lot more than before. You have these songs that like Matrix / Burning Dino Rex, that Maverick, his song's like 6 minutes before it loops over. And again, it's not the song itself being 6 minutes long, it's just 6 minutes of the same song before it decides to loop or end and then reset. Yeah, they're very long. Video, 24.4 megabytes. That's over 200 less than the previous game. Now here's the thing, the ending credits are not in the video files. So I don't know if those are just pre-rendered or what, but they're the same no matter what your ending is. Your only animated thing that you get for video is the Capcom logo at the beginning and the opening cutscene, and the opening cinematic, intro, even before the title screen. Same thing with X6 in terms of video, except the video takes up more space this time because it's better, I think, in some ways. The audio is interesting. It's 1 megabyte more, but you have to add in the voices, which take up space as well. So it's less music space, but more voice space, audio space. Then disk size, it's a bit larger. So anything else I want to mention here? No. And again, X4 requires separate video for the endings because there's text at the end of the endings for X4 that vary depending on if you're playing as X or 0. And if you know anything about the Mega Man X games, of course, they might be somewhat happy endings, but they're not necessary, but they always kind of leave you wondering. Your characters are like, this could have gone different, or, I might have to kill my best friend someday, things like that. So, some of the reasons why X5 doesn't work exactly as well as it could have. The core point of X5 is that Zero is supposed to die, right? Yes. Sorry, spoiler. If you've been here this long, then you probably know. No matter what ending you get, Zero dies. If Zero goes Maverick, well, let's face it, Zero is always Maverick because Zero is meant to be destructive. He's meant to be like Sigma. But because Sigma punched him in his jewel at some point, Zero went to the side of the Reploids, to the side of X. So Zero's technically Maverick against his own programming all the time. But to go typical Maverick, as he's originally designed for, which he never fully goes, he dies after he fights X. Or X fights him, because he can't fight X. Well, I guess you can't control him. You know what I mean. Anyways, if that doesn't happen, he still dies after fighting Sigma at the end of the last virus stage. So no matter what end you get, you lose Zero. Zero's gone. However, Zero died back in X1. So, is death really a permanent thing in this world? No. But here's the thing. And again, we'll get a lot of this from X6, which I know wasn't necessarily supposed to be, but at least they took the time in X6 to kind of explain in a roundabout way, in an indirect way, why Zero can come back, but not, maybe by making him missing, but not, say, Iris or some other people. No, so Zero's reconstruction in X2 was planned by the Counter/X Hunters, who are working for Sigma, even though getting all of Zero's parts means Dr. Kane puts him back together and brings him online. Are humans allowed to reactivate dead Reploids? The answer is yes. Are Reploids allowed to reactivate dead Reploids? No. We know this from Metal Shark Player because Aelia tells us afterwards that his job was to that Gate made Metal Shark Player, and his job was to bring dead Mavericks and Reploids back to life, which you're not supposed to, which is considered illegal. So that's why these other characters haven't come back, because Zero was essentially was reactivated by a human, unless you didn't find his parts and Sigma reactivates him, but then you just beat him up and he comes back to his senses. So we know also in Extreme that they can be brought back digitally and physically, because in Extreme you're stuck in going to computer world where these Mavericks have been brought back for reasons, and then in Extreme 2 they're brought back essentially to use their power by the two people on this island, who of course Sigma's behind it all, of course. But you have to play through the game 3 times to find that out. It's a portable game. It's meant to be done multiple times. So because Zero's been brought back, his second death lacks the punch that other character deaths have in the series, especially because it's just a lot of text. How many of you have played through X4 as Zero? All right, we know the meme, what am I fighting for? But let's face it, that is a pretty impactful and pretty well done cutscene, right? Yeah, somewhat. For the game it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's I accidentally spoiled that myself by accident because I originally had the PC version of the game and I found the video files and I started watching them all. Oops. Yeah. Oops, yeah. But let's face it, it works. Zero's second death is a bit more, in my opinion. All right, show zero death videos, fast forward when needed. Okay. I shouldn't read my notes, but I did. All right, so we're going to look at Zero's deaths and things like that. So this is X1. The first Maverick stage, Reviver's Sigma stage. Zero's got to take on Vile. He already beat him earlier. He can take him on, right? No problem. Maybe? That doesn't sound too good. I'm trying to practice the Hadouken. So, am I going to hit it? Absolutely not. So, you get to fight Vile again, and, Zero got captured. Oops. So, you're going to fight Vile. You know how you couldn't beat him last time? Same thing. But Zero breaks out, and he decides he's going to take care of Vile. Again. And he's cut in two. Technically 3. Because there's 3 parts to him in X2. Yeah. So once you get past Vile, X, I've taken too much damage. No, this is a Nintendo game. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. Auto repair systems can't handle it. Yeah, he's missing his legs. Yeah. After this, he's gonna be missing his head too, because he's gonna be in 3 chunks. So, his power's fading fast. Your power is greater than I thought. Maybe you can destroy Sigma. Maybe. And there he goes, dying mid-level. Aww. So in X2, if you find Zero, Sigma's gonna try to convince you that this is Zero, and he's very upset for you leaving him behind to die on that island. Obviously, Zero got an armor upgrade, right? Yeah. I'm paraphrasing from the English version of the game. I know it's all Japanese here. Also, Sigma, new body, like usual. And I don't know why I let this texting go on. I might have been falling asleep while doing this, to be honest, while I was recording. Oh, there goes that. There goes Zero. But wait, there's Zero. Okay. Yeah. If you let Zero survive in X3, he'll take care of Sigma for you instead of Dr. Doppler. However, if you decide you really want Zero's sword for yourself, and you haven't lost him at this point, he can fight 1 boss in the game. 1. Has anyone gotten the Z-Saber before? Alright. It makes the game a lot easier. I mean, Kaiser Sigma's a pain without it. But, you do lose Zero. But unlike previously, this won't be a death, this will just be a injury. So if you think about it, X1, we've lost Zero. X3, we're losing Zero, again, in some way. If we allow him X5, we're gonna lose Zero. So, what? This means in X7, we should lose Zero again, right? Yeah. Yeah, he gets better. Yeah. What was that explosion? Are you okay? So Zero's gonna essentially be like, I failed, and he's just gonna teleport out of here because he's damaged, but he'll leave you his sword. But it's better than him dying again, right? Right? Hopefully. Okay, I need to speed this up a bit. So, anyways. If Zero has gone Maverick, you fight him. They'll have this nice long discussion about Soul Blazer, which, not Soul Body, sorry, Soul Blazer, wrong game. Very good game. I recommend playing it. So anyways, we get these nice long cutscenes. Hey, Sigma's here. Who knew? We did because this game is suspense we knew since the beginning. Zero's gonna show up. And note, this happens even if you know Zero hasn't gone bad, but notice the really sad music. Just be a good boy and die. Flash a light. Yeah. Exit's telling you to survive, and Zero's gone. Okay. You almost got your true self. Sigma's like, oh man, you were almost what Dr. Wily made you to be. Because Sigma knows about this. Sigma spent the last several games trying to convince Zero to go bad again. Incidentally, Sigma's in touch in some way with Dr. Wily as well. I want to suppose or guess that this evil energy from Mega Man 8 is what's used to begin what becomes the Sigma Zero virus, but that's just me guessing. It is. Okay. Yeah. We'll see what Mega Man, the new one, advances the story here next year. Yeah. I wanted to call it Mega Man 12, but that's not his technical name. So, anyways, Sigma's gonna take Zero with him if Zero's still alive, because he's going to stop using Zero as a shield. That's really what Sigma's been doing this whole several games is using Zero. This whole game is using Zero as a shield. Yeah. Sigma planned everything here just to make Zero go bad, whether he succeeds or not. So, anyways, yeah. Not looking too good. He got caught in an explosion. Again. Yeah. X is looking fine so far. Should have just enough time to do what I need to do here. Excellent. So. Yeah. Sigma's still around. Even after, using the Gamma body from Mega Man 3. For a form of it. Yeah. Again, notice how long, I'm not speaking the cutscenes, but notice how long these are taking with the text. Just like for them to get their points across. Again, I could have sped it up, but how persistent you are. By the way, the previous ending, if Zero went bad, X does not remember Zero after the Sigma fight. Dr. Lights, or someone erases Zero from his memory. Yeah. We don't know about Dr. Light's a weird situation. I think we don't see Dr. Kane after X3, but apparently he created the Reploids for Repliforce for X4. But so what was brought up here? I think what Dr. Light did was he uploaded his consciousness, his brain, to a system that lets him communicate in real time through those holograms. Well, I think Dr. Wily did whatever he did to himself. Well, we're still figuring that out. Anyways, so. Let's say you beat the game as Zero. Again, Sigma's gonna say some stuff here, but same stuff, but not all of it. I won't die alone. The three, we can die together, all three of us. Leave X out of this, stop using them. This is gonna be the same. Except here, Zero's gonna, Zero says the same stuff. Now he's gonna start remembering things, because his memory's going. His life's flashing before his eyes. It's strange. I've defeated the Sigma virus. Essentially, well, remember, Sigma is actually infected with the virus Zero originally was carrying. Yeah. So, why did I fight against Sigma again? Yeah, so, logic circuits failing. I feel pain. Oh, I see the energy is running. This sounds like I was saying Mega Man X, wasn't it? Yeah. Somewhat different, but a lot of the similar things. His diagnostics running through and telling what's going on, probably. Remember, he's a robot. I'm going to die. Yeah, blue screen of death. Yeah. Who is this? Yeah. Is he gonna get an answer to this? No. Does it get an answer to X6 for him? No. I mean, the closest he is, if Isaac is Dr. Wily, at some point, he's going to look at him, he's going to be like, oh, that's weird, and walk away. He's like, I got to find Sigma. Yeah. Again, this song's really, really sad and takes a while. Yeah. 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 I don't know why. It was either I take too long with the text or I speed through it. There was no, like, happy medium. Sorry. Yeah. Now he's trying to figure out why he's created himself, why he's been created, essentially. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, this person's made to destroy Reploids. Which means Dr. Wily probably was aware of the beginning of X being created by Dr. Light at some point then, if he's, because, you don't have Reploids until the X series, so, yeah. He's got to remember Sigma, he's got to remember Iris. I mean, obviously, we don't forget Iris, do we? No. Okay, so how have we gotten to, X5 is going to tell us either that it's been 3 years since Sigma was defeated, X has the saber. This is your normal ending for X, okay? With Zero alive. So but this game has 3 endings. We've lost Zero. That's all we know. So what ending are we going to have for X6? What is the official canon going to be? What ending is Capcom going to choose? Like, anyone ever play a game with multiple endings? Then you're trying to figure out what the canon ending for the game actually is. Yeah, Phantasy Star did that as well. Phantasy Star 3 has 4 endings. One of them is canon. And if you beat Phantasy Star 2, you'll know. So anyways, I've muted the sound on this because it will totally bring up a copyright thing on YouTube that won't block it, but will demonetize it for MAGFest, and I don't think they want that, so. So anyways, the space colony Eurasia was taken over by Sigma. He hired a mysterious Reploid named Dynamo. Note, this was all like, still images in the previous game. This begins tragic Earth crisis. But no, this is animated all of a sudden. Why couldn't we have this in X6? X5, I mean, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So anyways, it's successful. The space colony was destroyed, but although it saved, the huge explosion seriously damaged it. You'll spend the beginning and end of the game in that area. As for the battle against Sigma, again, a lot of these are actually still the still images, just with animation added to them. X and Zero defeated Sigma and nearly escaped with their lives. However, only one would return from the battle. A blue light X. So we've gone from 3 years to 3 weeks. Yeah. Okay. So, X6 decides, you know what? We're just going to change the timeline a bit. We're going to decide that, they saved the world. But Zero's, we lost Zero. But it turns out he's just missing because you can find him. All right, penultimate slide. Anyone have questions, comments, concerns, or X6 memories you want to share? We've got about 7 minutes. All right, you first.
I anticipate to me X6 is underrated.
X6 is underrated, okay. Okay.
And the X6 soundtrack is one of the best bangers in the X franchise.
All right.
Namely, Infinity Vigion and Blaze Phoenix,
Okay.
saved that game.
So what we were just told is X6, Mega Man games are half soundtrack, half gameplay. X6 has an awesome rocking soundtrack.
It also has a lot of terrible forgettable songs. The ones that stand out.
Yeah. I always thought that a lot of the music would fit really well in an RPG for some reason. Especially the ones that the more atmospheric ones. That's my opinion. Okay, so music good. Excellent. Okay, who else had some stuff? Yes?
Mega Man X6 was the game he was playing the day we met, so I have to argue with Morty.
Okay. This game brought people together. Okay. If your relationship can survive starting with X6, it's probably in a good direction. So, all right. Yes? Okay. Excellent dieting tool. Donuts, 5 minutes. I see you back there. Thank you. Okay. Who else? Yes, yes, they're in the midsection. Yes. Yeah. 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 So what was just talked about here over there, the modding community essentially, there had to be something for them to go, hey, we can do this, something that makes the game worth enough, say, hey, we can do this better. You know, quality of life, things like that. Same for X5 probably as well. So, yeah. Yes?
There is a really, really quality-looking fan remake of X6 called MAGWest Viral Nightmare. I know they can kind of cringe with like a fan game or whatever, but it seems like it addresses like every single complaint about it. But it's just these people remaking it from like the ground up. You can look it up on YouTube.
Okay. Okay, so you said it was Mega Man X50 Nightmare? Mega Man X Viral Nightmare. Okay. Which, hey, that is what the game's about, being on, you know, the virus nightmare viruses and things like that. Yeah, I know those things are annoying. They're all over the place in the game. Could have been spaced out a bit better, but okay. Yes? Mm-hmm. I think in X5 he actually said, yeah, you're right with the security reasons. Because I went through all those dialogues in X5 and I don't think they mentioned the security at any point. So he's bringing out, yeah. Which again, so if Dr. Light knows about the Sigma virus, that means he has to have some capacity to be present and know what's going on. And my first thought was maybe it's almost more like, anyone here familiar with Foundation by Asimov? It's like where Henry Seldon's like, I'm going to sit down and just like tell you what's going to happen, 200 years from now. But the more I look at Dr. Light's dialogue, no, this guy has to be, his conscience has to be present in some way, know what's going on, or at least some form of AI that can pick up what's going on and then react, then talk back, almost like maybe kind of like the crystals from Superman, where like there's so much information there, except it's not Marlon Brando. So, all right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
It's an excellent speed run. The nightmare virus makes routing very interesting.
Okay. Yes.
Busted infinite abilities.
Yes. X6 makes for some very cool speed runs, very cool tasks if you've seen them. Again, because you can skip most of the dialogue, that makes it a lot less onerous. Probably have to play through as well, too. I haven't tried to run them in any way myself, but I've seen the runs and tasks for them. All right, we're pretty much out of time. Anyone else with any last comments? Okay, here's my Twitch, here's my YouTube. I don't stream often. If you want to see the 71 hours I've put into making the videos for this panel, they're all up on YouTube now. Enjoy my 8 hours of playing through Extreme 2 for the first time if you're really bored. No commentary on them. There's my professional email as well. Thank you all for being a great audience. Have a good, fun, safe MAGFest. God bless. Good gaming, everyone. Goodbye.